walked into the room, I talked to the patient. I said, look, I don't feel comfortable doing your surgery right now. I'm like, I haven't slept in 2 days. And I said, I think we're going to have to wait. And he's like, thank you for telling me that. He's like, I'm totally fine with that.
If you ever watch Scrubs or Grey's Anatomy, people have this idea. They're like, it's an emergency. Just like grab the bed and push them into the operating room where there's like a waiting team that everybody's like there ready to rock. But even the best of circumstances, it's like a half an hour. And I got lucky it was a half an hour, but that's because they have to open the room and open up all of the instruments and make sure that everything is sterile. The anesthesiologist is at home and has to come in. We have to do all the paperwork. It's interesting because I don't think people realize, even in the most urgent of situations, nothing happens like that fast in an operating setting. Yeah. But thankfully, we were able to wash everything out. There was one bleeder, and interestingly enough, we actually found one. Half the time, I feel like when you go in there, it's already stopped. But found the bleeder, zapped it, washed everything out, closed it all up. She was doing great today, so that was excellent. But that was my 9:15 to 12:30 last night. So super exhausted. It was a long clinic today.
Well, here's the thing. I thought a lot about this a lot, like as a resident, right? Because as a resident, we think, oh, we work, 80 hours a week, right? Really, we work way more than that, but documented 80 hours a week. And I remember, in training, you think, man, this is a lot of hours, and your family is like, where are you? But as an attending, once you get into private practice or into the real world, like you're the one responsible for all your patients all the time. And you can be in a group and maybe all cover each other, like if you're out of town, but in reality, like all of that's on you. Like you don't have another person be like, hey, can you take care of that for me? I need to sleep. I got to get up early the next morning and do more surgery, right? It's all you. And you realize like a lot of that residency training was really just prepping you for like real life as a surgeon and as a doctor. And there's been times when I came back here to Utah and I was doing trauma hand call. And I remember there was a time I had been awake for over 48 hours straight. I was on call that night, and I'm sure you've had this too. Mm-hmm. And it gets to the point, like for me, I remember that day I had a case I had to add on. A patient had fallen like 30 feet, had broken both arms, both legs, and needed to do, it wasn't an emergency surgery, but needed some, external fixation. And I remember I walked into the room, I talked to the patient, I said, look, I don't feel comfortable doing your surgery right now. I'm like, I haven't slept in 2 days. And I said, I think we're going to have to wait. And he's like, thank you for telling me that. He's like, I'm totally fine with that. Let's do it. Come back and circle around, do it tomorrow. And we did, and it was fine. But I think we also have to know our boundaries. We're definitely not superhumans. We definitely train to stand for long periods of time in one location without going to the bathroom. You like you said, you went last night at midnight, and you got little kids and your family, but you still got to take care of your patients. So I think I really look back at residency, as much as I didn't love it at the time, like I really think it conditioned me to be able to deal with these situations.
Yeah, we think during residency, it feels very, very difficult. And I think that it seems like it's going to be easier on the far end because you're not at someone else's beck and call to work as long as you have to. But I think that as a resident, I truly underestimated the weight of having patient care and you being like the end all of like how all that works out and how that patient is going to do, the weight of needing to do the best thing for that patient versus as a resident, you're like, okay, I'm told to do this thing. I will do this thing. But in honesty, this the attending who's carrying that weight to make sure that patient's, getting the care that they deserve. And it's a real thing. I definitely underestimated that, but I feel that weight to make sure that people get the care that they deserve, the results that they're after, but it's something more difficult than I was imagining it would be coming out of residency.